Hello and welcome to another episode of Going Topicless, the podcast that is not very popular right now because everyone would rather be out striking climate change or something along those lines. Joining me, as always, is my wonderful co-host, Gandhi, otherwise known as Cameron. How are you doing today?
Okay. Quick side. No, this fucking climate strike shit. What are we supposed to do?
I don't know.
Hang on, I've got an echo. Shit.
Yeah, I
We're
heard that
very
as well.
professional here.
We're off to a flying start, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Also
I know.
joining us today are two guests from the past. Joining us once again, Paiten and Ryan. How are you guys doing?
Oh,
I'm
good.
good. I'm good.
It was my turn to talk.
She would just roll dice to see whose turn it is to say things.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. I don't have my 12-sided die on me. Left my Dungeons and Dragons stuff at home. I left it in my gym bag.
Oh shit. That's a big loss right there.
I mean, would one of you get odds? One of you get evens?
Yep.
Brian is odd.
Kind of like climate striking.
I don't know. You should just stop using plastic
Segway.
forks.
So, I understand, the idea of it. It's kind of like trying to bring awareness to, like, heroin use. It's bad.
You're
We
still
get it.
echoing.
Am I echoing? Because,
You are echoing.
well, it's showing that
Oh, it's
it's
coming
'cause of
through
Ryan.
Ryan's mic there, the echo. Ryan, you're fucking
What?
this up for
How?
everyone.
How is it coming through my mic? That makes no sense. Here, hold on.
I don't
No, it
know.
is coming through your mic.
I believe you. I just don't understand why it is.
I
This
think
is
you
the
do.
most professional podcast you'll ever listen to.
Anyways, I think I
But
don't know, I think
realistically, what can be done? I mean, I feel like
Well,
we
the
aren't supposed to be
idea.
here. Humans are not supposed to be here. We are no better than any other living organism on this earth. We just so happen to have thumbs and brains that think about more than just finding a mate and reproducing. But that's still our main function here on this earth, is to just fuck, die, and let the rest of, you know, humanity live on.
hey,
And
I don't
maybe
know
burn
about
down the
you.
Amazon because we don't have enough room for our cows.
I mean, I
There's
get like
nothing
the
that
idea just to
we can't reverse anything.
No,
well,
we can't reverse anything, but we can start being better. I mean, a lot of people need to start being better.
that's
So
that's the thing
the
too. Is
earth
just like
is
it's such a
billions
massive
of years old,
undertaking to
correct?
try and frickin' fix our shit. That I think so many
Yeah.
people are just like, well, there's no way that I alone could fix this, and no one else is gonna fix this. So what's the point, you know?
Nobody seems to think of it as, oh, I'm gonna recycle, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do my part. Everyone's just kind of like, oh, well, I can't fucking do anything, so what does it matter?
Yeah.
Which
I
is
mean,
kind
it,
of a,
it doesn't matter to me because by the time anything seriously happens, I am dead. So,
yeah, you are, but do you not
I,
care about the future of
no, because I'm not
your
here.
family? That's kind of fucked up.
In 2 generations, nothing will still be severely done. In 2 generations, nobody's gonna know who the fuck I am.
Yeah, but that happened previously. That's why we're here with this huge struggle. And now we're gonna pass it on because we're not doing anything.
There's nothing we can
That's
do.
what the
There's a
that's
lot
what
we
the
can
climate
do.
strike is about. Is they're trying to
They're
trying to get the government to
and they're trying to
impose
get it moving.
regulations so then we can actually fucking get a move on with this.
Yeah, like here's your start. We're striking. If enough people join in, it's gonna get around and people are gonna start doing something about it.
Okay, but what's the strike accomplishing? Well,
Getting movement.
movement for what? What are we changing?
Whatever,
Everybody
like
understands that this climate change thing is an argument of some sort, but what's the end goal here? Everybody is already aware. I haven't heard any solutions. I haven't heard any ideas. Everybody just seems to be like holding up signs and saying, "Hey, guess what? Climate change is here."
Yeah,
I think
Everybody's already
the
can.
aware of it. The
We
the
sun
can
rises
stop.
solutions I'm
in the
hearing
morning,
are
and
to
like we're already.
impose regulations on single-use plastics, make a
Yeah,
move
even stop cutting
towards
down
electric
trees for
vehicles.
farming, and I don't know, you could decrease
I'm sure I
animal
get
numbers.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from, but I'm sure that if you actually talk to a lot of people that will be striking, they'll have their individual things to say. I don't have my doubts that there are people that will be striking, and if you talk to them, they're just going to be like, climate change bad, and that's all I know.
They
No, I
definitely
know.
have
I'm sure
reasoning.
there are sound arguments out there, and it sounds like that you are on that side, and I want to hear like what is it in our like what is the strike trying to accomplish? Because like I said, the only thing that it's really accomplished for me is that these people want everybody else to be aware that this is occurring, but everybody
Well,
already knows that it's occurring.
I
if you
think
get enough people like going, it's gonna make a huge scene, and people are, everyone gains with traction. You get a couple
What I
hundred
understand
people in
is
the same
the
area.
whole movement is trying to put pressure on governments to try and actually step
yeah,
up to
Yeah,
the
that
plate.
is also a good
it's to
reason.
put pressure on government. It's to also show people that are of the opinion that, oh, climate change is a thing, but we're not doing anything and I can't do anything myself. Maybe with amassing people, they'll see, holy shit, there's a lot of people who want to try and actually do something, so maybe I should get involved now and see if we can put pressure on the government and whatnot.
If
I
enough
think it's
people,
more. Yeah, go ahead.
oh, I was just gonna say, if enough people, get together, and the government is gonna have to do something.
But what
They'll stop
are
cutting
you
down
expecting?
forests,
Are you
and
expecting when were forests cut? You just keep going back to that. Fill me in. I'm just confused.
so a lot of the Amazon is being cut down for cattle farming. For one, they could stop that, and we could not rely so much on beef and, you know, meat. And then we could start replanting instead of cutting down, give those same workers jobs to replant instead of, ruining the ecosystem. They could be helping it and getting paid for it.
I mean, in my eyes, it's just like I said, to get people together and show like, hey, there's a lot of people that care, and the government's not gonna be like, oh, they're striking. Let's literally fix everything right now. But
So
if
are you
we
expecting more, or is the idea to like
If we don't
achieve more
start,
government regulation? Is that
well, if we don't start now, nothing is going to be changed slowly. Like, slowly everything is changing. Like, we're starting to use, like metal straws and everything. But if someone didn't start protesting back then, they're making a difference, we wouldn't be where we are, and it
pro
wouldn't keep like this.
protesting this protest, if it goes well, I think is just kind of the start of getting people that give a shit together and to kind of see the mass amount of people that do give a shit so that we can start, making moves to help the environment. We're not it's not I definitely don't think, I'm not delusional. I don't think the strike's going to happen and then the government's going to be like, "Oh, okay." They're going to get rid of like fucking plastics instantly and start like
Mhm.
replanting everything and shit like that. It's
No,
not
but
going to
it's a
happen like
start.
that
It's
at all.
definitely somewhere to start, though.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. I just realistically I don't think there's any like feasible outcome. At the end of the day, money's still going to control all that. And so you're talking about the
So,
Amazon
yeah.
being cut down for cattle farming. Cattle farming brings in positives for the Brazilian
Yeah,
economy.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
exactly.
Okay, whereas those trees that are just standing there, yes, everybody says, "Oh, well, the trees," and I not like sarcastically, "Oh, well, we need trees to live." No, we do, but people are also very greedy, very selfish,
Yes.
and if they
Yes.
can knock down 100 acres of Amazonian trees so that they can increase their cattle supply, tenfold, they're gonna do that.
Yeah, and with trying to get rid of more plastics and doing that whole thing, that's like that already is happening. They've already tried, like they're already doing like paper straws and all that kind of shit.
But then
But
again,
Paper
it's
straws
not
suck.
gonna
I am not
they
backing that. Paper straws fucking suck. Okay, I will drink directly out of a fucking cup before I use a paper straw. Those things are buns.
yeah, I mean that also brings up another argument, is why do we even need fucking straws in the first place? Like I just drink
I
my
don't know.
shit
Just
like
straws,
straight
yeah.
up anyways. Maybe that'll happen. Maybe paper straws will be so shit that nobody will want straws anymore.
I've seen a lot of the metal straws come out
Yeah.
recently. I've seen it's like a big fad in the building
Yeah, metal
industry.
straws, and that's is kind of the sad part, is a lot of stuff like metal straws is less of a, oh shit, like it's dirt cheap, I can just buy a metal straw and save a ton of plastic. It's like people like, oh my god, metal straws are cool now, I need a metal straw. It's okay.
I
I mean, I
mean,
guess you're still doing the same
it's just
purpose,
another
but
thing to fucking carry around though. Like
yeah, like I'm not gonna bust out my fucking wallet and pull out my
it's
metal straw.
it's the same reason that I very seldomly carry around a reusable water bottle because I just hate to be burdened. I'm gonna be honest with you. It
Just put water fountains on every single block. Easy.
fucking why is there so much ice if the globe's warming? Like no, I understand that the the world, our world, Earth, you
Hmm.
know, is either heating, cooling, changing, whatever. But then I also feel like there's a lot of science on the other side of things where it's just like, yeah, I mean, this shit just happens.
Well,
Like,
here's since
are
you
we?
since you bring that up,
well,
here's something just to play devil's advocate here. If you look up the history of Earth's warm and cold periods, you can find charts that date back, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of years, and it shows this pattern of extremely hot periods and
oh, it
extremely cold
totally does.
periods.
But I mean, people are making it so hard to recover from that the world isn't able to catch up. Like the same thing happened in like the Cretaceous period with the dinosaurs. But, you know, they weren't polluting the air and whatnot, and they were
No, the Earth
able.
just killed them themselves because that's
The
what the
Earth
Earth
didn't
does.
kill
Because
them,
we're
but
not. Yes, I mean,
I believe a meteor
let
killed them.
yeah, and
well, maybe
and
that
no,
The
I
it
don't
Earth
think
it
anybody
did.
spawned a
was there to
meteor.
document there, but like I said at the beginning, like we're not supposed to be here.
Well, yeah, and
There's
that's why the
there's
world's going
you
to
know
shit is because
if
we're
there was
here
one
and we're
thing
not trying
that
to.
went wrong, we wouldn't be here. One minuscule thing. If the planet was a decimal degree hotter or colder at a crucial time, then we would have never been here. That first little
Hmm.
single cell organism would have never spawned and fucking grew fins and all that shit and became a fish, and the fish wouldn't have grown legs and all this other bullshit. You know, like I'm I'm not a religious man by any means,
Yeah.
but I do believe that, I mean, just by how perfect all of it was, just everything was just right where it needed to be at the right time at the right moment with every little molecule and atom that we somehow got here. I think there has to be some sort of like higher divine like power involved in that because it blows my fucking mind and I don't really understand it.
Right.
But I still believe that, the earth's just going to do its thing. And yeah, the CO2 emitteds that we put out, the cars, the plastics, the manufacturing, you know, we probably shouldn't even be fucking farming, we should just let shit grow naturally, but we wouldn't be able to keep up with demand if we just tried to do that.
Right.
But
And
nothing we do is good.
yeah, and I get that, and that is definitely the way it is. But and I'm not a delusional tree hugger. Like there are things that need to happen for sure. Like farming, like you were saying, we can't not farm at all.
Right.
Like
Oh,
that's not
exactly. No,
realistic at all.
No.
you need to farm to keep like the human
And
race alive, but I think there's better ways to probably go around it.
and in the end, again, like you were saying, yeah, we could get people together, but we need all of these people to get together, and everyone actually needs to commit and vote with their wallet, like everything. It's like how well, in the fast food industry nowadays, you see a lot more fast food places trying to go. Like you see, I don't know about the U.S., but in Canada, it's a lot of fast food places now are like, oh, like uh, hormone-free, fucking, like province-grown beef that we use in our, patties or whatever,
Mhm.
and people are becoming more and more interested in better food. So fast food places are seeing, hey, people are buying this more, so we're going to switch
Mhm.
over to this, which
Right.
is what's going to have to happen if we say, oh, the planet's
But
dying, blah
but
blah 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 blah.
do you think it's trendy, or do you think people are in that for the long term? Because for a
I
short period of time, CrossFit was really popular too, and now you don't hear about that very often.
Yeah, exactly, and I mean it. It's definitely a mix of both. There are people that realize, like for me, for example, I have a really sensitive a stomach, and I can't eat
Mhm.
a lot of uh, like rough food. Like I'm really
Right.
sensitive. I eat really well, and I realized that, and I'm like, okay, I have to eat better. And when places are, proposing better food, I'm like, well, now I'm a customer. Now I can go there and eat
Mhm.
because I don't have to get horribly sick, and it's better for me, and blah blah blah. But you are correct also, and there are people that, like I was saying before, it's just a fad. They're like, oh, it's cool to eat like this, so I'm gonna eat
Mhm.
like this. And in
Right.
a really weird, fucked up way, it becoming a fad kind of helps. But they also just don't know like anything. They're just kind of following the fad. It's a really rough conversation to have because it's not as simple as a lot of young people seem to think it is, like you were saying. But there are steps that we can take to try and help. But like again, you can't. It's not gonna be, oh, we're protesting, cool, now everything's better and the earth is saved, hooray.
So, just one last thought, and we can continue to go down Devin's long list of topics on a podcast that is supposed
Oh,
to be
by all means,
topicless,
keep
but
keep going. I
whatever.
don't care.
Um, so back to the metal straws, real quick. How much of a
Right.
carbon footprint do manufacturing factories who
Who
produce
make
metal
metal straws?
straws put onto the environment?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, but think about all the straws that are like wasted after one use and the pollution that they're causing. I mean, it's going to be a lot more than just producing one straw for each person rather than thousands through their
which
lifetime.
which is true, but like he was saying, nobody is gonna like, and I don't care
You're,
how, like people say that they will, like someone will say that they're gonna carry around their metal straw all the time, but like bullshit, they're not going to.
and I mean,
And
how how many tubes of chapstick do you buy in a year?
I've never actually bought one before.
yeah,
That's
I don't
really
I
weird.
don't buy like any.
That's strange. Okay, well, it's very common for people to lose
Yes,
their tubes of chapstick.
yes it is.
I feel like it'd be pretty fucking common to lose a straw
Yeah,
if this
that's
became
I
a
don't
yeah,
know
thing.
how many straws I've lost behind the stove, or forks and spoons behind the stove, or whatever, and I just
exactly.
forget
You
about
get
them
that back,
forever.
but
Yeah,
choose not to.
and it's almost like a battle of the lesser of two evils. It's like,
Mhm.
oh, we're throwing a bunch of plastic straws away. Oh,
But
let's
why don't you
make a
recycle
bunch
them?
of giant metal fucking straw manufacturers because
Everybody
that'll
wants
help.
to. I would imagine one of the big pushes for this climate strike thing is, oh, recycle more. Well, recycle your plastic straws.
Mhm,
Why can't you do that?
exactly. And
So why
that's
would
kind of
we?
the thing. They're so like, despite all this trendy bullshit, it's still exactly the same as it has been before. Like, just recycle more, eat better, fucking
Well, here's
shit
the
like
thing.
that.
Since we're on the topic of recycling, I know you and Ryan, you and Peyton will remember this. I don't know about you, Gani, but you remember how we would always have to take out the recycling ourselves because the staff wouldn't do them because
Yeah.
they didn't get paid to take out the recycling, only to take out the garbage. Well, that's the issue with recycling is that it's not as beneficial. Like you're saying, Cameron, about money talks, right?
Hmm.
Because it's not as beneficial for companies and individuals to take their time and efforts into recycling. They don't do that. They get more money and whatnot from putting things in the garbage, filling up landfills, etc., etc.
Hmm.
So
And
that's
yeah,
that's
and
that's the big issue that I find with this whole climate thing is that we're gonna have to take hits in some places if we want to do this, but there's just so
yeah,
many people that aren't willing to do that.
That's
exactly, and
exactly.
that's exactly what I'm trying to say is that like yeah, it's great that everyone's getting together. Like yeah, cool, good job everybody, but everyone has to fucking commit and actually give a shit and not be like, "Oh, I striked, I did my part." It's like, "No, you didn't do your part."
Hmm.
You can't just strike
It's like the people
and
that go
that's
vegan for 3 weeks and then go back.
exactly. It's the same shit. It's you have to commit and actually give a shit. Like people which people don't do. Like think about it. You're fucking think about how often people, their phone breaks or whatever. You just
Hmm.
throw that shit away, go get a new phone. It's like,
Hmm.
oh, my MacBook Pro fucking broke. Toss that shit in the trash, go get another
Weird
MacBook.
flex. Okay.
I hate Apple, but some people are
But
actually
right,
like
no,
that.
no, I
It's
get what you're
whack.
saying though. Like,
Yeah.
when electronics break, people just so quickly they throw it in the dumpster. They're like, "Fuck it, I'll just go get a new one." Whereas they truly should take it to a actual e-recycler
Yeah, take
that
it to a
handles
tech trash
tech, and
place or
and they'll
whatever.
dispose of it properly, because
And
that
I
stuff isn't just supposed to end up in a landfill. It's not.
exactly
Those
people
components don't
don't.
break down and stuff like that. So
Yeah,
I get what you're saying.
and
Yeah.
people don't commit because me, for example, when I get electronics that break, I always take it to like a proper tech trash place, or I just repair it and keep using it.
You
But
know what I think the biggest problem there is, and I don't know what it's like up in Canada land, but um, uh, this is like a year ago. When Yeah, last time that I moved, or the 2 times ago that I moved apartments, um, we had this old TV. It wasn't like a big box TV. I don't even know if you guys are old enough to remember
no,
box TVs, but
I used to
Yeah,
watch
I
shit on
used
box
to have
TVs.
one.
I used to use fucking VCR and shit.
um,
Not that young.
but it was like a thick plasma screen. It was like one of the
Oh yeah.
first, so it was still like pretty beefy, but it was still like a flat screen type stuff.
Hmm.
So I called up like the local shop that like you can recycle electronics at, and I'm like,
Hmm.
hey, I want to bring this by, whatever. And they're like, oh, well, it's gonna be a $50 fee. I'm like, okay, nope, done. Threw it in a
That's
random dumpster
strange.
because I'm not
Yeah.
paying to recycle something. So
It's
I
like I
think
said, there's
because it
no
had like it
there's
had
no
some
benefit
sort
to
of
recycling
component in
things
it
for
or
people.
something that like.
And that comes back to what you're saying by like money talks is they see, oh, people that want to help the environment,
Mhm.
they're gonna recycle and they're not, they're gonna care too much to be
Yeah.
like, oh fuck, I don't want to pay, so they'll just fork
Mhm.
out the money. It's another way to make money. There you go.
Right. So I mean, I don't know. I don't have a solution. I
No,
But the big thing too, and kind of like what I was saying earlier, is that I haven't really heard like real solutions. I mean, what you're talking about, like just give a shit. Be more conscious of your decisions. Yada yada. Just
Yeah, and the
Well,
and
the thing
people that
is,
are
with the
doing
here's the other
something
thing
are
with the
starting somewhere.
go ahead, Peyton.
Oh no, it's all good.
Okay, well, the other thing is with the climate strike, with gathering so many people together, is individuals have ideas. They may not be good ideas, they may not be bad ideas, but they have ideas nonetheless. If you get 100,000 people together, that's 100,000 people with ideas. If you get 1 million people together, that's 1 million people with ideas. Again, they may not be good ideas, they may not be bad ideas, but they're still ideas nonetheless, and that's still an opportunity for
It
us.
opens up discussions like we're
Mhm.
having.
Correct.
Yeah, I mean that's what gets things moving in general.
Exactly. And
If you're not talking
it's
about anything, then nothing's ever gonna get done.
yeah. But you also can't just talk about stuff. You have to again give a shit, and
Hmm.
that's kind of all it really takes to be better to the earth is for everyone to just give a shit. But people have so much stuff
Give a
going on
shit
in their
and put in the
lives that
effort.
they don't want to give a shit. Yeah, and put in the effort. That's right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, nut up or shut up. Like if you're not gonna
Hmm.
back up if you're not gonna practice what you preach, then just go home.
Exactly. And that's I think that's the biggest problem is I'm willing to bet a good 50%, if not more, of people who are, yeah, we need to save the earth and all this stuff. They don't do any of even the little things
Hmm.
that that help.
Well, and it's like you guys remember when Starbucks? I know you guys are in Canada, so like Tim Hortons King or whatever.
Oh,
But
I drink Starbucks more than Tim's actually, but yeah.
but like when Starbucks switched those like for some of their drinks they have like those special like fucking sippy cup lids.
Yeah.
Well, when those were like, released or introduced or whatever, I read this report that like that lid takes more plastic than the previous lid and a straw. So like
Yep.
I get like yeah, they're trying to stop that straw aspect because that's like, oh, that's the little plastic that ends up in the ocean and it's polluting the water and yada yada. But if the main focus was still the plastics use, they didn't really accomplish it there. They
Exactly.
tried, but again, I think it was just one of those. It was it was trendy. It was the fad. People then went out and got Starbucks and thought they were doing something good because they weren't using straws, and everybody posted a fucking picture on their Instagram. We live in a
Exactly.
world of likes,
We
is
do.
I think what I'm getting
No, you're 100% correct.
we look for page views and likes and comments and subscriptions.
Nobody nobody does things, and I forget who I was talking to the other day, but I was saying that nobody does anything nowadays for themselves. It seems like everyone does it to show everyone else how interesting their life is. How
Yep.
many times, I don't know if you guys use like Snapchat or whatever, but how many
Hmm.
times has somebody on your Snapchat friends list, you're looking through their story and they're at a concert and they
I was
film
just about
the
to say the same
entire
thing. I
thing
was just about
on
to
their
say the same thing.
Snapchat.
I was
And
literally
it's
gonna
like,
say, is
did
anybody
you
that
go
doesn't
to
believe that?
did you go to the concert because you like that artist and you
Hmm.
want to support them and you want to see a live show, or did you go to tell everyone else, hey, look at me, I'm at a fucking concert?
Yep.
It's like,
I was literally just going to say, I was like, anybody that doesn't think that's true, the next time you're at like a live event, just
look
look
at
at
how
how
many
many people
phones are in
have
the
their
air.
phones are out. Yep.
Yeah,
Because it's all people want. They want pictures and videos, and
yeah.
everybody's like, oh, it's so I can remember this. Well, like
Bullshit.
you're watching a concert through your screen. Like you're not even watching the show anymore. You might as well just
Yeah,
be watching it on YouTube because it's essentially what you're doing to make sure that you're, actually filming the damn concert. It's the most
yeah.
annoying thing. I
Anyone
hate
who
it.
says that is full of shit. Like I'm taking film right now in
Hmm.
college, so I film a lot of stuff,
Hmm.
and I can protest that, like, I'm more on the cinematography side of stuff, so I got my face jammed in a camera about 90% of the time. I
Yeah.
am not enjoying what's going on, especially at live events. I've done a couple live event shoots, and I'm not taking in anything around me because I'm
Right.
focused on filming it.
Hmm.
So I don't get nearly the same, not even close to the same experience as if I was, in the crowd sitting there enjoying it or standing there enjoying it. So it's anyone who says that, oh, I'm going to remember it this way and I'm still enjoying it. It's like, no, no, because you're not going to film the entire thing on your Snapchat and then go back onto your Snapchat and watch it again. You're
Hmm.
not going to. I don't care what you say. You're not going to.
No, not a chance. I hate it.
I hate
Hate
it
the
too.
world we live in.
Yeah, I
Here's
know it's
something that I've
ridiculous.
I've I've read about a few times. I've seen this pop up on my Twitter timeline. are some restaurants and diners are giving out reusable plastic containers for like a small fee, and if you bring the containers back, you get a full refund. So there's an option for just for you know,
Wait, what?
'cause, like you
I'm
know how
sorry.
like you take fucking takeout at McDonald's or
Yeah,
whatever,
no,
and they
I
give you
get that.
this fucking styrofoam piece of shit plastic.
Hmm.
Well,
Oh, you get a
there
refund for
are
the container.
yeah, like you can
Okay.
they'll give out like an actual proper reusable sealable container that your mom used
Yeah,
to pack
like
your lunches
a
in,
Tupperware, yeah.
and
Mhm.
then for a small fee, and then if you bring it back, you get a full refund.
Yeah,
For
and
the
here,
container, yes. Okay.
Yeah,
First time you said that, I was like, oh, that sounds like a terrible business model. They're not making any money if they're just gonna refund everybody that brings their container back.
yeah,
yeah, we'll give you a full
But
refund
I
on your
got it. I was a
meal.
little slow. I was slow to the. I was late to the party,
No,
but I got
just
yeah,
the container.
it's like, damn, I'm gonna go down to the keg and buy a $200 meal and just return my fucking plate and get my money back. Hell yeah.
I mean, $200 Canada. That's like $10 in the U.S., isn't it?
Something like
Yeah,
that.
I think it's like 9.35 or something, something like that.
Oh,
It's
I was just
it's
joshing.
funny because no, it's hilarious, and I mean I hate our dollar, but at the same time because I'm going into film, I love it because fucking Hollywood motherfuckers are like, yo, we can turn a $4 million budget into way more if we go to Vancouver and do it. So that's work for
Hmm.
me.
Right,
Legit.
for sure. Yeah, that's true. I, the exchange isn't that bad. I feel like every episode, me and Devin look fucking exchange rate from US to CAD,
We
and
tear it apart
it's
every
it's only
episode.
like like for the US dollar, I think
I think it's like the Canadian dollar is like
there's like
73 cents American or
yeah, it's like
something.
70. Yeah, it's essentially like Canada is just a woman, and we got the wage gap in there.
Okay, okay, I see how it is.
Just a woman, by the way.
You said it, not me.
Makes sense.
Hey,
Okay.
see, they went on strikes there. They brought awareness to the wage gap. I'm acknowledging it.
Yeah, yeah, the glass ceiling. Yeah. That's another thing that turned into a fad. Like a lot of game developers just like, oh, we need to put females in our historic games, literally just so that the media will leave us alone, even though the people that bug them about it would never play the game in the first place. So
Hmm.
you're kind of just shooting yourself in the foot. But
Really.
Like Call of Duty World War II.
what a dog shit game,
Well,
honestly.
yeah.
If
We
anybody
don't need to talk
here,
about
if
that.
anybody's watching this and they genuinely liked Call of Duty World War II, like I don't know what to say to you.
Easy,
I'm sorry.
easy, easy, easy. Not
Not
your
even
show,
just
easy.
from not even just from
One
that shit.
person that watches this podcast just left.
Oh wow.
Yeah, my fucking mom loves World War II, dude. What the hell?
My grandma loves that game, dude. Fuck. God damn it.
I mean, the zombies was pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciated that they tried something new, but they also
Hmm.
kind of failed.
What
In
I didn't like
my
about it
eyes.
was that it was very. I mean, it was like a story. I didn't like that it was like a story. Like there was like mission, and you had to like complete all these different objectives and shit. I didn't like that because then
Yeah,
when you die, you just have to start over.
I'm a big zombies fan too, like huge zombies fan. And
I
that was
like
kind of what I was most excited about, but
but I
kind
like
of
early
just
Treyarch zombies, like
Oh
World at
yeah.
War, Blops One, Black Ops Two was like the last zombies that I really like sunk a lot of hours into. Then it got too complicated after Black Ops Two.
Yeah,
It was
Black
the
Ops
last
2 was my last game
like
that I sunk hours
Origins
into
was
as
like
well.
the as complicated as I wanted to get with zombies.
Hmm.
Origins was very complicated.
Yeah, exactly. Call of Duty World War 2 is just a terrible, terrible game. Even just by gameplay standpoint, like I don't know, I just thought everything was terrible about it.
So you're gonna get Modern Warfare?
I played the beta
I did too
and
a little bit.
I did quite like it.
I did
So
too.
I
I mean,
think I
I
will get it.
bought it, but
My main selling point was the cross-platform because I
Mhm.
could play with my console buddies.
Yep, same. My brother plays on Xbox, and that
Oh,
was a
there you
big
go.
thing. You know,
It's a
and
huge selling point.
I told him, I said, if crossplay's out on day one, then sure, I'll buy it. And then the beta came out and it was crossplay, and I was like, fuck it, sure, I'll buy it. I mean, I enjoyed it. I probably played like 6 or 7 hours, not a whole lot over the whole weekend, but a couple hours a
Gosh.
day. Yeah, enough
Yeah.
to get a feel for it. Devin, did you get a chance to play it? It was open for a couple days.
I have not. I was probably when was the open beta?
Oh no, you got called in. It was last weekend, didn't you?
Yeah, I would have been working.
Oh,
R.I.P. in peace.
rip.
But
Speaking.
I've seen a handful of streamers play it. I've seen some stuff on
Mhm.
YouTube. It looks really good, really enticing.
Yeah,
So
Ground War was really fun. It was
Mhm.
just like scuffed Battlefield,
Yeah, it was
but I
just
kind of enjoyed it.
yeah, is
it's
Especially
that
with the
the
way
fast
one?
Battlefield
paced
5's
Battlefield.
going right now.
Which one's the 2v2 and you don't have health regen or anything like that?
That's Gunfight. Gunfight
Gunfight.
is fun.
That looks
Yeah, Gunfight
interesting.
was pretty cool.
That looks like a really fun one to play. Like you and three friends just going up against each other, having a blast.
Yeah, for sure.
Speaking of games released, I have 2 days of playtime.
On what you cut out?
Oh, my bad. Yeah, I almost have 2 full days of playtime on Borderlands 3 already, and the game came out 2 weeks ago. So
Yeah, how is it?
Not played that yet.
the, I've been putting a lot of time into it. I absolutely love it and recommend it to everyone.
Yeah,
It
I was
is,
watching some streams.
I mean, it is Borderlands fashion as far as like the humor of the game. The story, I actually just beat the like main storyline um just a few nights ago actually. It took about, I had like 35ish hours in it when I beat the main story, and I mean I skipped a lot of side quests. I still have a bunch of side quests that I can go back and do on like
Yeah,
my first playthrough or whatnot. I mean, there's a lot of main story, a lot of content, and it's not like previous Borderlands games where like your first playthrough, like it's literally just to do the story, do some side quests, whatever, and then jump onto your next playthrough and like try and just max out. You can like max out on like your first playthrough in normal mode. There's a bunch of end game content that I'm starting to dive into. I don't want to spoil anything, but it's super fun. Definitely recommend it to anybody that's kind of on the fence about buying it. Totally
cool.
worth the $60. You're definitely going to get your money out of it, especially if you've played the previous games and have enjoyed them. It's
Yeah,
fantastic.
I loved Borderlands 2. I've been watching a lot of streams and
Mhm.
I, the humor, like, oh god, I don't know. I want to know your perspective. Like, I've even just from watching streams, like, and I liked the Borderlands 2 humor like a
Mhm.
lot. It made me laugh, and
Mhm.
I was trying not to bash my head against the table watching the cutscenes on
Mhm.
stream in Borderlands 3. Like those villains just made me want to like cut my
Oh
throat.
yeah, yeah, it's cringy, but I think that's like I think that's kind of the point. I don't know if it's necessarily like a stab at like the stereotype of your
Your
content creator in
average everyday
2019,
streamer. Yeah.
yeah, but I mean really it kind of is. I mean they're over the top and they come up with names for their Twitch chats and I think it was pretty spot on. But yeah, it's definitely cringy.
It is, but at at some point like satire is uh, it if I'm not laughing and being like, ha, that's so funny, that's such a funny twist, and that's
Mhm.
how it is. Like shows like South Park, that's basically all it is.
Right.
Like I can hate the shit that they're talking about, but think it's hilarious in show because of the twist that they have on it and their social commentary. But I could go on Twitch and watch a cringe ass streamer and bash my head up against a table, or I can go play Borderlands 3 and listen to their take on a
It's
cringe ass streamer, and
it's
then
such a
still
small
bash myself against the
it's such a
table.
small portion though. Like, yes, I mean they're like, the main villains or whatever, the Calypso twins. But as far as like the overall experience in the game, I mean they're very minuscule. I mean their commentary is minuscule, I guess. You
Yeah,
know,
and that's
mostly
what I've heard. I've
cutscenes.
heard that
But
a lot of the reviews that I've watched, people have said, yeah, the villains are terrible, but everything else is amazing.
yeah, I mean the funniest parts come from the side missions, like normal, like the stuff that you just stumble upon.
Yeah,
That and
that's what I've heard. I've heard that the side missions are like almost better than the regular, like the
oh
story
yeah,
missions.
oh yeah. Well, the side missions are. I actually Now, granted, it was like my first playthrough, so everything was still pretty new. I haven't like started another playthrough. I haven't started another character or anything. I've only got one character right now. But I feel like with previous titles, a lot of side missions seemed, go here, go here, go here, go back, wash, rinse, repeat.
Yeah,
Um, I never felt like I was like grinding through side missions. Like I was just like, you know, trying to skip dialogue and get through them as fast as possible. Just, drive directly to the first place, pick up whatever the fuck I'm picking up, get back and be done with it. I never felt like I was just like, going through the motions on like fetch quests or, um, you know, picking up
freaking
6 different random,
Ubisoft,
yeah, yeah,
Assassin's
like,
Creed type
yeah,
shit.
doing, playing Watch Dogs or something. Whereas even in like Borderlands 1, it was I feel like Borderlands 1 was kind of bad on that, or in that regard. Borderlands 2, same thing. I also put so many hours into Borderlands 2, when that game was still kind of alive and in its life cycle. And so during my time of playing that, I never really focused on like side missions and all that kind of stuff on like my first or second playthroughs, or waited until like I was maxed out to try and never do any of them and then just blow through them. But I never felt like I was grinding up. Even in the
Right.
leveling process, I still don't even have a maxed out max level character. I'm still trying to level them up, and I'll probably play some tonight after we're done with this. But but I don't feel like I'm like grinding it out. The gunplay is fun. Uh, I'm not like bored just shooting enemies. Like there's enough variety with enemies and with guns that everything seems kind of fresh and uh, engaging, I guess is maybe a word to use there. I haven't felt bored or just kind of like meh, like I'm just doing this again.
Yeah, and
And
that.
it's Go
No,
ahead.
go
I'm
ahead.
sorry.
No,
No, you
I
go.
was just gonna say that's how most games feel once because you kind of finish in those types of games anyways. I
Hmm.
find that you like it so much you don't want to stop playing it, but you
Right.
finish the story and you're just sitting there and you're like, fuck, I'm so bored, but like I
Hmm.
like this game, so I want to keep
Right.
playing, but there's nothing to
Hmm.
do except these boring ass side quests.
Hmm. Or farming the same raid boss over and over again.
Yeah,
You know.
which is funny because I'm playing Destiny as we speak, but
Right. It's literally just raid bosses and trials.
yep, it is. It's fucked. I always tell people, they're like, "Oh, so you've been playing a lot of Destiny too?" I'm like, "It's not a good game, but I'm addicted to it."
Yeah. Have they switched over to Steam yet officially?
On the first, October
Oh,
1st is when
October
that's
1st.
happening.
I saw something that it was going to be free to play when it went over to
It
Steam.
is. It is going to be free to play. The only problem is that like the game's free to play, but to get the DLC, which is kind of like the game,
Yeah.
is still paid. So it's still
Gotcha.
technically a paid game.
So like the base game is free to
The
play.
base game is free to
Like
play.
the game that came out in what, 2016?
Yeah, whenever Destiny 2 released.
I think it was. Yeah, it was a few years ago. I think 2 years ago,
Yeah,
3 years
and
ago.
I got it for free like about a year ago on BattleNet just because I don't remember what they were having some promotion and they gave it out to a bunch of people.
Oh,
So
nice.
that's the only
I
reason I'm
The only
playing.
reason I have it on Battle of a Humble Bundle like a year ago.
Oh shit, yeah.
It was like, $12. And I was like, yeah, I might play this. Nope.
That was me too. And then my friend in my class was like, "Oh, you should play Destiny 2 with me." So yeah, I haven't been playing it for very long. I've only been into it, I'd say, for like about a couple months maybe, and that's like nothing. There's all these other players that just have way more shit than I do. I'm
Mhm.
like, oh, okay. I haven't been playing since release like you. I have nothing.
Right. Yeah, that's always the worst, and Devin and I have actually talked about this in the past. A new game comes out, and I hate spending full price for a game. I rarely
It
do it.
it, it hurts
And
my inside pressing the
right
purchase button when it's that much
when it's
money.
$60, and
Mhm.
Half
and
your paycheck's
so
just gone right then.
Yep.
and so I just kind of say whatever, I'll put it on my wish list. I'll keep an eye on it, wait for a sale. Well, by the time a good sale comes around, where I actually feel like yeah, I'll buy it. That's cool, 15, maybe $20 or something. Um, my excitement's gone, and then I never play it, or I maybe play it for like a day or two, but I never beat the games. Like, and I told Devin this, I don't know, one or two podcasts ago, like Kingdom Come Deliverance.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
when that game, was heading up to release, I was like, man, this game looks really cool. I like, the medieval stuff and swords and all that kind of shit. I was like, man, this game's gonna be dope. When that came out, I was like, man, I don't really have $60 right now. I'm not gonna buy it, whatever. Well, I didn't buy it until like a year after release, and I bought it, played it for a week, never beat it, never dove. I probably haven't played it if I looked on my Steam library for 9 months, and I'm just like, meh, whatever. But I have it, spent money on it. And, a game that you should get like probably 500 hours on, but I don't know, just not interested anymore.
think it's I think it's the because I think that happens to everybody, and I
Yeah.
think what it is when you're interested in it, you're following it really closely and
Mhm.
all that stuff. And after it's been out for a while and you've been following it and you see everyone else playing it, it just kind of happens. You just lose your
Mhm.
interest. You're like, well, this is
Well, thing is,
I
I'm
too,
not
think.
hyped anymore. And
leading up to the release of a game, companies put in a lot of time, money, and effort into hyping up their game,
into the hype
Mhm.
factor,
and
yeah.
they've put effort into the psychology behind what grabs people's attention. Like that's a big part of their marketing is the
Mhm.
whole science behind what gets people attracted to your product. But
Oh yeah,
once the game is
Exactly.
released, they're no longer putting in that hype. That it's like release date comes, people talk about the game
boom.
for a few days, and then the
Yep.
hype is gone. It's over. And then I think that's when you start coming down from the high of, oh, this game looks really good. I'm gonna buy
I
it.
think I think a bigger thing for me is my YouTube sub boxes. If I'm not seeing the game pop up in my sub boxes, I'm not gonna think about it. So like when Kingdom Come came out, so many of the people that I'm subscribed to on YouTube, they were pushing out content. They were, showing guides and tutorials and rare items, whatever. All these videos, pop up in my feed, and I'm like watching them like as if I'm like playing the fucking game, but I didn't even own the game, but I still watched
Exactly.
them. And then, when I finally went and bought the game, nobody was talking about it anymore. Nobody was posting videos on it. Nobody was making tutorials or guides for it anymore. And I don't know. I lost all interest to actually play the game. Even though when the day that I bought it, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna play this. It's gonna be so much fun. And then I played 4 or 5 hours, and I was like, yeah, go back to it
I
tomorrow.
think as a gamer, you kind of miss because everyone enjoys buying, especially games of nature that are like that, like the
Hmm.
Call of Duties, right? You buy
Yep.
it early and you play it, and that's kind of it. But
Yep.
even like the Destinies and stuff like that, you buy it and you're playing it day one, and everyone's figuring out stuff, everyone's finding new stuff. And if you're following it, you got guides popping up on how to get the new exotic weapon that someone just
Hmm.
found, and you're like, oh, I gotta get that too. And that's
Yep.
kind of the excitement. And then after a year, that dies down.
For
It's kind
sure.
of like the Call of Duty thing. I was even just
Yep.
talking to Peyton earlier about how I miss when when like the Black Ops 2 maps were coming out, and you'd play it day one, and everyone would be
Mhm.
trying to figure out, how to get this thing and how to do the Easter egg, and you're kind of
Yep.
with them trying to figure it out too. That's
Mhm.
kind of part of the fun, almost.
For sure. Well, I mean, you see it every year with Call of Duty. A game comes out in, October. It's super hype. Everybody's on it. And then, Thanksgiving comes, people are playing the shit out of it over Thanksgiving weekend. You get the Christmas noobs, the next month. January, it kind of starts to fade away. And then come, March, player base is cut in half. May, everybody's just excited for the next Call of Duty.
Exactly.
An 8 month life cycle for a $60 video game, and then you're on to the next.
Yeah, and I haven't been a fan of Call of Duty forever, and I think
Me too.
I'm less hyped about the fact that, it's, the new Call of Duty game, and I'm more hyped about I finally have a game that I can play with my best friend back home, and we can play shit together finally.
Right.
I'm way more hyped about being able to play with him than I am
Mhm.
about the actual game,
Oh, for sure.
almost.
Yeah. I mean, I am excited that it's back to like normal warfare, and we're not fucking, shooting lasers and
Yeah, and
jumping walls
that's why I
and
was excited for
stuff.
World War
But
II, and I hated it. And I was really sad because I bought it full price and I wanted to
yep,
cry.
same. So did I.
But
Then again, I've bought every Call of Duty at
I
one point or
haven't
another.
I
Yep. I always get
when
sucked
did I
in, man.
stop? It's hard. They got it
Since
down to a
since
science getting
MW2,
you
I've bought
hyped up.
every. No, that's not true. Actually, I didn't buy MW3. Wait, yeah, I did. That's a lie. Yes, I did, and I had it day one.
I have been playing since the release of World at War. And
Hmm.
I played Modern Warfare, but I wasn't really around for like the big release.
Yeah, no. So for COD 4 and World at War, I just played like at my buddy's houses when I was a kid. I didn't have an Xbox, but he did. And then like MW2 is when I got like my first Xbox. And then since MW2, I had always gotten the fucking new Call of Duty.
Yeah,
I'm really trying to think. Yeah, I got so at MW2, Black Ops, MW3, Black Ops 2, and then it went to what came after Black Ops
God, I
2?
can't even remember. Might have to look up the timeline.
Ghost? Was it Ghost after?
Ghosts, yeah. Everyone
And
hated
then
that one.
from Ghost it went to uh was it Black Ops 3 after that? That doesn't sound right.
Yeah, God, I don't remember.
Goes to Advanced Warfare.
Yeah, I was just about to say Advanced Warfare.
Advanced Warfare, and then Black Ops 3, and
Then
then
we had
Infinite Warfare.
Infinite Warfare, World War II, Black Ops 4, and now Modern Warfare.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep, I've bought every fucking one.
I skipped Infinite. I skipped
I bought
Black
Infinite so that
Ops
I could play COD
3.
4 Remaster.
I skipped Advanced Warfare. My friend actually bought that for me because he was convinced he loved it so much, and I really didn't want to buy it. And he's like, "But you gotta get it." I'm like, "No, fuck you. I don't want to get it.
I
It looks
didn't
like
mind
shit."
Advanced Warfare. I think of the jetpack games, it was probably my favorite.
I just didn't like double jumping and then smacking my head on an invisible barrier and then getting clapped because I'm
Wow.
stuck on an invisible barrier.
Yeah.
There's so many bullshit invisible walls in that. Like
Mhm.
the chaotic bouncing around stuff was fun to some extent. I had fun with it, but like I don't know, the maps were
Yeah,
just kind of meh, and
and
like
I've
and just there's so many invisible fucking bullshit walls. Like
I
that's
tell
the
you
that's
what.
the issue with having like the freedom to be able to just fly around and bounce around is you have to have so much more invisible walls that you normally wouldn't have when you're just stuck to the ground. Like when you're stuck to the ground, you can have simple stuff like a building, some bushes, some crashed vehicles, anything like
maybe a
that.
little bit too simple in the case of World War II's maps.
Well,
Okay. Rewind it to Call of Duty Ghost. I stand by this, and I will forever. Extinction mode was the greatest feature that Call of Duty ever implemented into any fucking game they've ever created. Extinction
I
mode was the bee's motherfucking knees. It was so much fun. I had so much
I
fun playing Extinction mode.
I get that. Honestly, the first, and I'll admit, the first couple times I played Extinction, I was like, damn, this is cool. Like going around, doing all this stuff. You know, it was all new, and I didn't know what was
Yeah,
gonna
it was
happen
new.
next, and I was like, damn, this is
Mhm.
really, really cool. But unlike zombies, with all the different stuff that you can kind of, do, and all the different, it didn't hold my attention as much. I played it quite a
I will
bit.
say it doesn't have the same replay factor as
Yeah,
zombies does.
but
I'll
I
agree with you.
absolutely agree that Extinction was a really cool thing for sure,
Yes.
and
They
ghosts in general. Honestly, I don't know
the
why
problem
it
with
gets
Ghost
shit on
was
so much.
the maps were so fucking large. The maps were so fucking big. Not all of them. Most of the maps were so big. And
Yeah,
people just weren't good at it.
yeah, and
Nobody was good at Ghost.
the thing exactly, and the thing that annoys me is like the most, I think, just about the Call of Duty community is you hear it all the time. You hear people bitch and moan about the newest COD. Oh, they're not trying anything new. They're just giving us the same manufactured bullshit. And then
Mhm.
they wonder why that happens. And then you take a look at Ghosts, where they tried so many new things that no one
Mhm.
gives them credit for. And everyone, you say Ghost in the Call of Duty forums, and everyone's instantly shits on it. It's like, you
Mhm.
guys are so mentally deficient that you don't realize why they give you this manufactured shit instead of trying to do new shit. Because when they try new shit, everyone hates it.
Mhm.
Like, and yeah, Ghosts wasn't amazing, and a lot of the shit that they tried didn't work for a Call of
Mhm.
Duty game. But nobody ever stands up and says, "Hey, you know what? They tried. They tried some different shit. They tried to give us something fresh." And hey, it didn't really work that well, but they tried to give us
Yeah.
some interesting things.
I feel like that's the
Well,
rut that a lot of game companies have kind of fallen into is they've got such a loyal player base that that player base refuses to divert off of what they know, but they'll bitch about still getting what they know. It's kind of a
Yeah.
you lose type situation.
And the problem with the big, Call of Duties and the Battlefields and any stuff like that is it when one game gets so hated like Ghosts, you can ask anybody why they hated Ghosts, and a lot of the time they won't even really know how. They'll be like, "Oh, Stonehaven was a shit map." It's like, "Yeah, but what else?" Like, if every Call of Duty has that map that you loathe playing.
right.
Like, even back in the good old days of like World at War, there were maps that I was like, "Ugh, this map isn't that good."
Yeah, like fucking Corey from MW2. Fucking hated Corey. I hated it. Hated that map.
Rust was the best
Yeah.
map. I will fight anyone who disagrees.
Rust is
I
Rust
wouldn't
is the
say it was
best
the
map
best
until
map,
you 1v1 your friend who knows all of the spawns, and he just spawn kills you off of everything. And then you want to just, cut your head off and fucking
True.
tie it to an anchor and drop it in the ocean. But
I
I think
actually I reinstalled Modern Warfare 2 and went back to it. I'm surprised there's still
on
people playing
Steam,
it online on Steam. Yeah,
bro, I've got it downloaded. I've got a bunch of hours in it.
yeah, I've got it downloaded too,
I
actually. That's
honestly
funny.
I honestly miss playing that game.
Oh,
Me
Me
I go
too.
back
personally,
to it
I
every once
think
in a
that one
while.
was probably one of the best, if not the best, Call of Duty to come
I
out.
play quite a bit of IW4X actually, which is, I don't know if you guys know, but it's
Yeah,
it's like
I
a
had it
cracked
installed.
cracked modded version of
Mhm.
MW2, but since it's free, it's way more populated than the Steam version. So you can play Modern Warfare 2 and they, since the people that made it are Modern Warfare 2 fans, like they know, like you can play with the fucking pre-patch like dual models and bullshit like
Mhm.
that and just have a blast.
Right.
Sounds like fun. Where do you get
Yeah,
that?
I had it down. Just Google it, honestly.
Okay.
Yeah, you just Google IW4X
You can just
and
YouTube like a
download it.
tutorial on how to download it and whatnot.
Yeah, if you already have the base game on Steam, it's piss easy to download. So
Yeah. Um, if you in the like IW4X or whatever it's called, If you do like the shit where it, like jumps you to like prestige 10 level 70 or whatnot, it really fucks with your hours on Steam though. So like be prepared to make it look like you have like way more time on Steam than you actually do.
Yeah, I think
Interesting.
Because
it
it
says
shows that I
that I
have
have
like,
like
yeah, I was gonna
968
say
days
it says
played
I
on
have
Steam
like
now.
600 hours or some shit on Steam
Yeah,
because
it's
of it.
ridiculous.
And I'm like, maybe lifetime, because I think the last time that I logged into like my old Xbox 360 account when I was probably in like high school and played some MW2, I had like 53 days I think on it or something like that, 54 days played on MW2. So I mean, that's like, I don't know, I'm really bad at math, but that was like 1,000 hours, right?
Something like that.
One
Something
of
like
my
that.
favorite things from Modern Warfare 2 was the Spec Ops. I would play
Oh
that. I would
yeah.
play that
Ooh,
co-op
I have a
Dude,
with
yeah,
my
dude.
friend.
Oh, you can do
That
that.
segue.
You gotta
was
download. You gotta
that was the
download like
shit.
the not the multiplayer on Steam. You gotta download like the actual Call of Duty
Yeah,
though.
on the topic of Spec Ops, actually, I have something I don't know if you guys know about this, but
Oh, I think I do. I think I know what you're gonna say.
Activision just released, because the game's coming out,
Hmm.
25th of October. So
Hmm.
they're like, oh
Is it
hey,
that late in the month?
yeah, it's the 25th of October.
I thought it was. Thought it was the
Mm,
early side of the. Oh, that sucks. Okay.
It says on my BattleNet.
Oh yeah, and I'm not gonna fight you on it. I just, I thought it was earlier.
I wish it was earlier, but
Yeah.
anyways,
Same.
fucking Activision. They're like, hey, so they released an article that I was reading, and it said, PS4 day one advantages, and I'm like, oh yeah, because they're partnered with PS4 now, so they get their whatever. And I thought day one advantages was just gonna mean that they get the game like a day early or something like that. I
Mhm.
was like, hey, whatever. This is the fucking world we live in now, I guess.
Mhm.
And no, it turns out that Modern Warfare is going to have a Modern Warfare 2 style Spec
Style.
Ops game mode,
Mhm.
except it's only releasing for PlayStation and it will
Yep.
not release for PC or Xbox for an
For a
entire year,
year.
That is
The
some
whole
bullshit.
year. The whole
which
fucking
is
lifespan of this game.
Are you
So
serious right now?
guess
That's
what? I'm
fucking
never playing the
idiots.
Spec Ops mode because I doubt I'll fucking be playing Modern
yeah.
Warfare.
Look up
Yeah,
the
I saw that
article,
shit
Devin.
yesterday. I was mind blown by that.
I
I doubt they stick to their guns. They're gonna get
yeah.
so well. Actually, they might have to
What
because Activision and Call of Duty have come out and been like, hey, there's not gonna be any more like content first on PlayStation. Yada yada whatever. But I bet like maps and guns and all that other shit goes. But I bet that's in the contract. Like that's why, like because Call of Duty and PlayStation is still big. It's their largest like sponsorship for like the Call of Duty League and all their like professional esports stuff. And I bet that's like in the contract between Call of Duty and PlayStation that like they had to have like a special mode or like something that the franchise knows and PlayStation knows and Activision knows that this will bring people to either buy it on PlayStation or even go buy an entire PlayStation if they don't have a PlayStation because they want to play that mode so bad because they loved it in Modern Warfare 2. And it's
you
all money, man.
you have to hold me at gunpoint before I'll go out and buy a console. I actually canceled my. I'm still gonna buy the game, but I canceled my order on it.
Hmm.
Just I'm hoping that enough people will do this so that fucking Activision will see their, because like that's all that these
Telling you, it's
companies
gonna
see is
it's got
that,
to be a contractual thing.
yeah,
They're
it
not gonna
probably
change it.
is, but still it's worth a try. I'm hoping that enough people do it and they might just be fucking bullshitting, because Activision does a lot as a
Mhm.
publisher. They do this a lot. They pull some bullshit and they test the waters and they see if people just are okay with it, and if their sales drop enough they'll be like, okay, people aren't okay with it, so we'll
Right.
go back on our word and say, hey, we're not actually doing this. It's
No,
only
I
going to
don't
be
think.
like
I
a
doubt
week
they're going to
early
be
or
able to.
whatever,
Yeah, I
but
don't know. It'll
still
be interesting to see
we'll
how
we'll
it
see
plays
what
out.
happens. Yeah, definitely we'll see what happens, but holy, it's it's such a shame that because this game is looking to be a Call of Duty resurgence. Even they're bringing in so many more players, I think, and Activision could ruin it all, especially when it comes out. Not even just with this, but they could start monetizing it like they did with Black Ops 4 with the really shitty battle passy crap that you have to buy and
Hmm.
RNG for like weapons that you don't know, like you won't even get to use unless you fork out hundreds of dollars to gamble for it.
I really hope that this whole battle pass system or whatever they called it doesn't show up in this fucking game.
Yeah, I don't mind it if it's free. But the thing
Yeah.
is a lot of companies don't like people don't understand. They see the money, but they don't understand why games like Fortnite have or Apex have battle pass systems and people are okay with it. It's because you download that shit for free. And
Hmm.
if you're enjoying it enough, like to fork out $10 for a battle pass is nothing.
Right.
People are like,
Well,
"Oh
the
yeah, I
problem
didn't pay
with
for it."
the
So
Call of Duty one was, or from Black Ops 4, it was like impossible to fucking progress it.
it was impossible to progress it.
You had to, I think, I watched like a breakdown on like actually leveling it up or whatever, and I think like if you didn't boost up levels, like if you didn't have any like buy the boosters or buy the levels or whatnot, it took because it was all time based. It wasn't like XP based or anything like that.
Yep.
It
It was
was
time played.
time based, and I think it took like, I'm gonna throw a fucking weird number out there, but it was like 81 games or something like that, like full games of like team deathmatch or something to level up like, I don't know, 10 levels
Yeah.
maybe, 5 levels. I mean, it was some like great, it was talking like, a good 8 or 10 hours of playing the game before you like made any sort of dent in the battle pass system for them.
Which is ridiculous
Hmm.
because Call of Duty, and I don't even mean this to insult anybody, but Call of Duty as a first person shooter is branded and is one of the most casual multiplayer first person shooters that you can play.
Oh, absolutely.
And when
And I
you
think
have a
for the
game
most
like
part
that, you
everybody
got,
knows that.
yeah, for the most part, people do know that, but you do have like freaking sweats sometimes that are like,
Hmm.
it's like, calm down. It's like, yeah, you can try hard, but that doesn't mean that a lot of other people do. People just like to get home from work and shoot people and not have to use their brain. But people like that get punished now. It's like, well, now I want to get home and oh, there's a new gun. I want to try it, but I have to work and I can't sit on my ass like all these 12-year-olds and grind this game. So now like I'm at a disadvantage. Like a lot of these freaking paid guns are usually better than the regular ones. So you're just getting clapped by better weaponry that you can't you can't even friggin' use because you can't put the time in a Call of Duty game, a game that you paid $80 for, and now you have to fork out more money to gamble and try to get this weapon.
Right.
I think
Yeah,
the United Kingdom has officially recognized loot boxes as gambling, and they're starting to regulate it in video games. I think I read that somewhere.
Really?
no, I think you're right, and it's good because honestly, it's I don't care what anyone says. There's no if, ands, or buts about it. It's gambling because it's gambling. It's the same as going to a casino and forking out money into a slot machine. The only
I
difference is
do
that
get
young
that.
kids can do it.
I understand the argument. However, I don't. The only loot crates that I would call like actually gambling would be like loot crates in like Team Fortress 2, Counter Strike, and Dota, where you can actually sell those items for actual money at like after you've taken that gamble on like the loot crate. The problem that I have with the loot crates in Call of Duty and I think even Overwatch, because I don't think there's no resale market for Overwatch
No,
items, is
no,
there?
there's not. No.
Um, like that shit. I mean, those items are literally just in your game. Like you can't trade them, you can't sell them. They're
Well,
just there.
that's how these game companies are getting away with having these loot boxes that give out unfair advantages, even just cosmetic things. That's how
Hmm.
they get away with it without being considered gambling. It's because it has no monetary value outside of the game.
And I
That's why
almost
they can get away with
I
it.
feel like that makes it
Yep.
worse,
It
doesn't
does
it?
make I was just gonna say I think that that's worse than gambling at that point because unlike CS:GO where you fork out fucking tons of money to try to get
249 a key.
whatever, yeah, you
You know,
fork out
but
all that
you're
money
taking
opening
you're
cases.
yeah, you're taking the chance there. Like, okay, well, I could potentially turn this 249 into a $2,000 knife. You're taking that
Exactly.
chance. That there is gambling. When
That is yeah.
when a game platform like Call of Duty does it, that's fucked up because like sure, oh yeah, you get a very rare item that you don't have.
Yeah, big
It doesn't
fucking
mean
whoop. What
anything. You
happens?
can't
What
do anything
happens when
with it.
what happens when this game dies? Well,
Exactly.
now there's $300 I'm never getting back. I'm not even getting
Mhm.
back half of that like you could in
Nope.
CS:GO opening cases. You're
Mhm.
fucked. And that I was just gonna say the same thing. That is 100% worse because you have these fucking kids that are playing their COD game and they're like, oh, there's a new gun out, and they
Right.
they don't have the same. Like I'm not saying kids are stupid. Like kids can be dumb, but kids aren't that stupid. Like they don't think that money's completely worthless, but they don't really get it when they're that young and all that they are spending their money. And I was there when I was like I'm in my parents' house. Like I work, I get my money. What else do I want to spend money on other than games? Fucking nothing. Spend all my money on games. But you're spending like 500 fucking dollars on some cosmetic item and that's it. Like that money's completely gone now.
Yep.
There's no ifs, ands, buts about it. It's gone. It's all your money.
Terrible.
And these companies basically just prey on
I
kids
mean,
that do that.
at least in Fortnite, like you know what you're paying for.
Yep. You can view it.
Yeah.
It's there. You don't have to fucking,
Mhm.
try to do a spin,
I
like a
think
roll for it.
even
Just
if Call of Duty could put guns or skins or whatever behind a paywall, you know, but
mhm,
that you know the possibilities of actually obtaining that item is so minuscule that you're probably gonna have to spend $100 on it. Put a fucking $10 price tag on it. People are gonna buy it, but Call of Duty knows that they're just gonna make more money if they put
it's
it into a fucking
still
loot crate and
yeah, and it's still fucked up, but it's better than random chance boxes.
yeah,
Just putting And I think there was a big fiasco with Apex, wasn't there? Not that long ago, where they had some event axe, and you had to RNG and get every single item in the collection before you could get this axe.
really.
And people got upset about it, so they said, hey, okay, and they did exactly what you're talking about. They just said, hey, fucking $20, and you can just buy this axe.
Hmm.
And
I
I
recall
don't even think it
hearing
was
that,
20
yeah.
bucks. I think it was a stupid amount of money. I think you have to spend like $200 or something retarded, but you
Oh,
could
like
still just
for you to get it.
outright buy it basically.
Hmm.
And it's a shame. It makes me miss I feel like an old man and I'm fucking like 18. Makes me miss the days of being able to just not fucking worry about any of this. My
Back in
game would
my
come out
day, when
and
you spent $60, you got the full game.
yeah, dude, I remember back in World at War where I spent like $40 was like the full price, and then fucking I think each DLC was like $10 or something. That I was like, oh hell, I'll pay for
Mhm.
that. It's whatever.
Is Paiten trying to kill something or what?
She is beating a pork chop right now.
Oh,
Yeah,
I mean, I guess.
yeah. All right, what else? What else you got for us, Devin?
Um,
We segued from trying to help the Earth into Call of Duty.
yeah, I
So
don't even know how that happened.
it just did.
Um, did you see the thing on Justin Trudeau? His little picture that came up on the internet?
So retarded, dude.
Can somebody fill me in, please?
So, we're only like a month away from our federal election, and
Mhm.
everyone's fully underway in their campaigns and stuff. And I think it was like not even a week into the campaigning, and this photo came up of Justin Trudeau back in like 2001 or something, dressed entirely in brown face paint and wearing a turban for some kind of party. I don't know.
Yeah, it was
Yikes.
like some Halloween party or something like that. I
Yeah,
don't remember
and
exactly
everyone's
what it
everyone's
was.
up in arms about it because they think, oh, it's racist because he was dressed up in. I think the
So
face paint is the part that really does it for people.
sorry to kind of cut you off, David, but I just want to like, what is your political kind of like where do you stand? Like, do you hate Trudeau? Do you like Trudeau? Are you
Um,
on the fence? Do you not really give a shit about politics at all?
I'm fairly center left leaning. Like I would put myself under the liberal wing. However, I fucking despise Trudeau, just
You
because
don't like Trudeau?
he's kind of an idiot. I don't think he's ideal for politics. So while I agree with like most of his party's views, I don't like him specifically. So that's kind of where I
Yeah.
sit politically speaking.
And I'm kind of the same way. I like him, but I'm kind of the same way. Like I have the same views and all that stuff, but he's definitely he doesn't feel like, you watch some people and you're like, yeah, they're a politician. Like
Yeah,
it's almost like how Trump is kind of just completely ridiculous and people love him for it. Like Trudeau's kind of almost the opposite. He's just kind of like doesn't isn't the best at speaking in front of people, and whereas Trump's
yeah,
like almost too good at it. He can just get up there and bullshit his way through fucking anything.
this is true.
A-
Yeah,
And it's kind of the
and
only
like
thing that really gets on my nerves is the when you don't have to have the same political views as me. Like, fuck, that's stupid. Like, definitely don't have to. But I just hate when politicians get criticized for bullshit like this that gets dug up with intent of harming them by like the opposite party.
Yeah,
And
that's
it's
like
you
that's how I
can
feel about the whole blackface thing. I mean, for one, it was a party where you're supposed to come dressed up, and he went all out, got some face paint, got a turban. Fuck, let him. And it's like it's more than 10 years
I
ago. Who gives a
mean,
shit, right?
and if
wait
you're
a minute. Who's having a turban party? Okay, like
if you're
It was like it
like
was
if
like an Aladdin themed party or something like that.
I don't
nobody's got
remember, but
face paint though.
yeah, someone have to look it up. I don't remember exactly, but I'm pretty sure it was harmless, the actual
I'm
answer
sure it
behind it.
was. I'm sure it was, but
But fuck,
the
it's
people that throw on
if
blackface also
if
think it's funny.
I'm a conservative and I hate Trudeau because he's a liberal. If you want to criticize, Trudeau for or like the political party for decisions uh about the country that they're making that you don't agree with, like, awesome, go right ahead. Like, that is absolutely your right. But it irritates me, like, the immaturity that there is in politics, where
Right?
people don't people aren't like, oh, I don't like Trudeau because of this and this that he's doing for the country that doesn't benefit me. I can say, okay, I get that, that makes sense. It's usually whenever I talk to a conservative, they're, oh, Trudeau's just a little faggot and his fucking blackface
Oh,
racist ass. It's like, really? Like, what? Just what? Why? Like, what is wrong with you as a person that you can't just say, "Oh, I don't like Trudeau because he does, he's not good for the business that I'm in, or I don't like the decisions he's making for the country, or whatever."
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
And like, well, what the issue that I get from the whole ordeal is when he was interviewed about it after, and he apologized for it thoroughly. He said it was racist and stuff. Like, all right, that's his views of himself. He thinks it was stupid, and he apologized for it. Whatever. He then he then goes to say that there were no more pictures like that, and then some like three or four more pictures come up. So I mean, I personally could not care less. All right, it's a guy dressed up in blackface. Who cares? he didn't have racist intent. I don't believe he had racist intents back then. He just dressed up for a party.
Mhm.
And he apologized for it. Fine, that's his ordeal. But then when he gets to try to lie about it, try to weasel his way out of any embarrassment that might come with it. Then that's when I start to get kind of, all right, well, now we're just being a little hypocritical here. And then this hasn't happened yet, but if a similar ordeal were to take place with somebody either within his own cabinet or somebody on
I
the
mean, the dude
opposition,
painted his whole body.
yeah, but like, so
I, 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 I get
if
it. You know,
if
I'm sure there
somebody
was no malintent behind it.
if
I'm
somebody
sure there
who
was.
was colored dressed up entirely in white to play for a Halloween party or whatever,
To
would
go
that
as
be
like Slender
racist?
Man or some shit like that.
Yeah, is that racist for them? I don't feel
No,
like
it's
they would
not.
be held up to the same standard just because they're a
No,
person of
they
color
wouldn't.
No,
who
but
dressed up in white.
that's the social climate that we live in nowadays.
And
Black
it's
people can't be
also
racist.
and you know what the
Come on now.
funniest? Okay, and Devin here. Here's a perfect example of kind of the hypocrisy of a lot of the kind of conservative, like hard conservatives that hate Trudeau basically just because he's liberal. It's like they see this, right, and they're so quick to jump on, oh, he's racist and this is such a racist thing to do and we got this guy running our country. Those same people fucking hate that race of people. Oh, Arabs coming into our country. What the fuck is Trudeau doing letting all these immigrants in? And it's like, okay, like which one is it, boys? Which one is it? Like, you gotta
That's the
choose
thing.
one.
The fucking politicians are such big hypocrites. That's like if I were to pick one thing that I despise about any politician, it's being hypocritical, right?
Exactly.
You're so quick to bash the other party that when it comes to something sketchy happening in your own, you're like, was he really at fault though? It's fucking pick a side, bud.
Yeah, really. It's politics are just the whole thing of it's kind of sad because you grow up and you start getting older and now you can vote and you're like, okay, you start looking into shit more and all you find is just adults on Facebook spreading really shitty and cringy political memes about the
Yeah.
party that they hate. And it's like, really? This is what it's like being an adult? It's kind of sad.
Yeah, you grow out of being that kid who fights with other kids over the Tonka truck in the sandbox, only to come into a world where adults are fighting over the Tonka truck in the sandbox. Nothing's
Exactly.
changed. Nothing has changed.
Nothing has changed at all. And it's pretty damn funny if you ask.
It really
I'm
is.
I'm kind of like I have my political views, but at the end of the day, sometimes I like to just sit back and watch the world burn
Really. Cameron, what's
because
your
it's
thoughts
pretty
on
funny.
this?
Yeah, how's Trump over there? How's America doing?
I heard
Dude.
somebody's finally trying to do the impeachment thing after
Yeah,
10 million
Pelosi came
hashtags.
out and like did
She's
some shit with
actually
impeachment.
trying to go for it, is she?
Okay, but I gotta find this thing again that I read earlier because, dude, we're talking the difference between chess and checkers here.
All right.
Find it. Hang on. And I didn't fact check anything. I don't fact check anything, especially before going onto this podcast. But
There are people who get
um,
paid for that. Don't worry about it.
yeah. Um,
Yeah, your research department.
but here was a thread that I found on the old Twitter sphere.
It's not
I'm just
mine,
gonna
is
read
it?
the whole thing. It's not super long, but it's a little lengthy. But just be patient with it. Starts out. Does anybody on Twitter actually know how impeachment works? Question mark. My guess is 99% of you are in the dark. Let me explain why Trump wants to be impeached. First, a House committee begins an investigation. In this case, it would be a Judiciary Committee headed by Jerry Nadler. If the Judiciary Committee calls for a vote and a simple majority of the House agrees, then there's a trial in the Senate. Andrew Johnson and Bill Clinton are the only two presidents who have been impeached. Their cases were very simple. Both were acquitted by the Senate. The Senate requires a two-thirds majority to convict. What is the crime Trump is accused of committing? there is no evidence of any crime, which is true. So
Yep.
there won't be a 2/3 majority voting to convict. But the Senate trial is a real trial. Trump will have his own lawyers putting on his defense. He'll declassify everything he needs in order to defend himself. A trial in the Senate will lead to the exposure of absolutely everything that the media has so far ignored. Every news outlet will cover the trial daily. The country will see evidence of unprecedented criminality by the Democratic Party. Biden, I don't understand why it says this, but Biden is small potatoes. Okay.
All right, that's an important fact to make sure you got to keep in your head. All right.
Goes on that it says he doesn't matter. If Trump goes to trial, he's going to expose every single crime the Democratic Party has committed going back to January of 2009, which would be when Barack Obama was inaugurated as president of the United States. Not only
Yes.
will the Senate not convict not only will the Senate not convict Donald Trump, the Democratic Party will die. We know that the quote unquote whistleblower was given the information that Trump said troubling, also in quotation, things during his phone call to the Ukrainian president. The whistleblower was set up. Trump has had 3 years to prepare for this, and now we'll see if the Democrats go all the way. Impeachment is the death of the Democratic Party. Not impeaching will make the base stay home in 2020. In all scenarios, Trump wins, and that's why he has orchestrated this entire thing. The end.
I mean, yeah.
You know, throughout the 2016 campaign, everyone's saying Donald Trump's like the biggest fucking idiot to go into office, but there was a little part of me that was like, imagine if this guy is the smartest motherfucker and he's playing all of us. And
And
it seems like
he's
it's
I
about to
mean,
come to pass.
he's still a
I
multi-billionaire.
have yeah,
Okay, whether
and
you
he's
agree
got
with his political sides or not, he's still a fucking genius businessman. Like he
I
owns some of
he's
the
not
largest.
really though. He loses so much of his fucking money, but
Okay, but he still made the money just because he's not good at saving it.
he was given most of the money
He
by
turned a
his
million into a
dada.
billion. Can you even comprehend how big a billion is?
Yes, I can.
I certainly can't. You know how much space in paper money that would probably take up? Shit, in Canada
A
land, that's like $1
fuck
trillion.
ton. That's a lot of money. Yeah, it's a fuck ton of money.
More money
I
than I know
don't
what to do with, honestly.
I don't like Trump, but people are kind of ridiculous that don't like him. People get so caught up in hating him that they don't look into anything at all. And that's kind of why his whole fake news shit like works so well, is because people are so quick to hate him before looking at anything. And yeah, a lot of the shit
Absolutely.
that is said is true about him, but there's so much shit that's said that isn't true because people are so caught up in hating his ass that they don't research anything. They're like, oh, look, another thing that's bad for Trump. Good. It's like, oh, you ever thought about maybe looking into it, seeing if it's legit or not?
No,
And
because
then
everybody
talking
gets
again
their
about
fucking news from Twitter. Everybody gets their news from fucking BuzzFeed or
Yep.
they just read all people do is read headlines and they share headlines all over the place. Nobody
Yeah,
does any research.
Donald Trump's a Nazi, and so is PewDiePie. I saw it on Wall Street Journal. What I mean.
PewDiePie might be a Nazi. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, that one might be true. Maybe.
I mean, I think PewDiePie has developed more of a following than the Nazi Party ever had. So,
That's
I mean,
why.
PewDiePie's following is genuinely a
He's the
cult.
most popular Nazi that's ever existed. Even more popular than Adolf Hitler.
who would have thought a fucking Swede?
Who'd have thunk it?
They were the real enemies this whole time.
The whole time, their high tax rates have finally paid off.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. Funny stuff. How long have we been talking for?
1 hour and a half.
Hour and a half.
Yeah.
Feels like longer.
Well,
Does it really?
probably feels like it's time to cut the cord.
See, there's one
Switch
thing
to
that
streaming
I
services.
I wanted to bring up because I was talking to Payne about it. I was like, "Hey, have you seen this movie?" And she's like, "Don't talk about this movie." So I'm going to talk about this movie. Apparently, you have a lot to see on it. Alita Battle Angel.
Boringest fucking movie I've ever watched in my entire life.
Really?
Wait, I've never even heard of that movie.
It's James Cameron film. The one with the bitch with the giant eyes.
With the anime eyes.
Yeah, the anime
I don't know who
eyes.
you're talking about.
See, I really enjoyed
You know
it.
who
I want
James
to hear
Cameron is, though, right?
Yeah,
your
mhm,
thoughts
Like,
on it.
yeah, okay, cool.
Avatar, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Avatar.
he did
I'm
Avatar.
surprised that you could say that and not T2 or first or something like that, but yeah, I
Honestly,
mean,
that's like the only thing I know Cameron for
I was
was.
gonna say, I was like, I think Avatar is probably the only
what
one
the
I could name. I'm
you
not a
guys
big movie guy. Not a movie guy.
yeah, definitely not.
No,
Aliens, Terminator 2, fucking
Oh,
Really?
okay.
I never
amazing
knew that he
movie.
did those
Cool.
things. I've seen
Yep.
those
Legit
movies, but
movie,
I
yes.
didn't know his name was behind it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he directed Aliens and Terminator 2. He was
Oh,
called
yeah, that
the
makes
the
sense.
king of sequels for a while, which I do agree with. Nowadays, though, with I didn't like Avatar either. I hated Avatar.
The fuck?
Really?
I thought
Share your
Avatar
thoughts on
was
that. I want to know.
That is a
saccharine.
controversial opinion on this podcast.
That's a
Here,
bold
That
stance.
it's a
that
very
is a bold
stance here.
statement, but I stand by it. I think Avatar is
You're like one of
is
6
not
people that
good.
has that opinion. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, yeah. There were all our names are on
You are the
Wikipedia if you look
fucking.
us up.
You are the shouting minority over here.
Yes, I am.
Just-
Well,
So
I
why didn't you
mean,
like it then?
Avatar or Alita?
Both.
well,
Both.
Start with Avatar because it's
start with
older.
Avatar. Yeah.
Start with Avatar. I did not like the script. First of all, I thought the writing in that movie was just piss poor. I do understand the technical argument
I was
of
gonna
it
say, I was
because
like,
that
I don't think
is.
anybody went for the story.
But as a movie person and as somebody studying film, I don't go to the theater and fucking hit the off switch on my brain and stare at pretty pictures. You know? Like I get it,
I mean, then
but the
stay home and
technical
watch a
aspects
rom-com.
of a film. Oh, okay, don't make me angry because you're about to. But movies need to be they're so tightly knit and it's just you can't sell a movie. Well, I guess you can. That's a lie. You can sell a movie based simply on the technical aspect, but
Avatar did.
just because a movie,
Still
yeah,
number one.
Avatar absolutely did. I almost
Still number one.
completely contradicted myself, but yeah, Avatar was definitely sold on the technical aspect, and so is Alita.
It was
Alita's
like the first of its
same thing.
kind.
But and yeah, I'm not going to argue against the technical aspects. Like the movie does look great. Don't get me wrong, but
Mhm.
you can't just make a movie only technical and then people say, "Oh, this movie was epic," and this movie was awesome. This was such a great movie. You ask them why, mainly they're like, "Oh, because it looked pretty." It's like, yeah, but what else?
Oh, I'm gonna be completely
But what
honest with you.
else?
I think the movie was fantastic, but I couldn't tell you what the fuck the movie was about.
Exactly.
When did
There
that
you
even
go.
I
come
still
out?
think it's a great movie.
Case in point. And yeah, no, not everyone has the same taste in
2009, yeah.
movies that I get, and you don't
Oh, I've got
have
a
to
horrible
like the
attention.
same. You don't have to like the same movies I like.
Oh, I tell you what, great movie. That is super fucking long, and I'm very surprised that I sat through the whole thing. Interstellar, fucking phenomenal movie.
Yeah, Interstellar was pretty good.
I liked it.
Christopher Nolan's almost more of an engineer than he is a filmmaker. But I digress. Fucking yeah, just not a big fan of the gist. I guess the Reader's Digest version is Alita and Avatar are spectacles, and that's it.
So what's Alita about? Fill me. Like I said, I've never even.
It's based on a
Lisa?
Japanese manga. It's one of those live action recreations.
Okay. Is this like in theaters now, or is this like?
No, this came out in like
No,
February, I think.
this is like old news at this point.
Yeah,
I've never
I
even
only
heard of
just
it, so-
recently watched it, and
I
I thought
I'd
it was
almost
alright.
say
But
that if you thought Avatar was great, then you'll probably like Alita.
How
see,
long is it?
I thought Avatar was really good too. But then again, It came out in
How do you spell
2009,
that?
and it's been years since I've seen it. So
Alita Battle Angel. Is that what it is?
yeah,
Yeah.
so
It's
it's
over 2
like
hours. I'm not gonna make it. I'm sorry.
Fuck.
most movies these days are fucking over 2 hours. Jesus
I know.
Christ.
That's why I don't watch movies anymore. Dude, I
Yeah, I
can't.
just
I can't watch the same. I need resolution faster than 2 hours. I do. Sometimes it's a struggle for me to watch a fucking hour-long TV show. Like
damn.
I want interesting plot points at the very beginning. Give me a little supporting details like 10 minutes later. Let's wrap that shit up at 22 minutes, man. Like the 30-minute TV cable episode of television, best thing that anybody ever did.
See, since
I
you
don't
since you
I
bring
don't
up
need
plot,
I don't need all that
since
supporting. I don't need, 40 minutes of, supporting
Yeah,
details.
I'm a
I
little
don't need it.
bit confused there. If you want interesting plot, then why'd you like Avatar?
I told you. I don't know what the hell the movie's about. I fucking thought it was dope. I just said that. It was cool. They were like flying around on shit. They were like blue. The movie was fucking dope.
Yes.
But I don't know what the
Segregate
fuck
the
the movie
blue
was about.
people, the movie.
Yeah. It was more than
but
2 hours.
since you mentioned plot, I think that's the people who get hung up over Alita Battle Angel. I think that's the part that they probably don't like the most is the plot or supposedly the lack thereof.
Anything
Because
except the visuals is straight dog, and that's what I thought about Avatar as well. And I can't like I'm a dude, but I don't know, maybe I'm more of a woman then because I can't just sit and watch a bunch of cool shit on a screen and be Actually no, that is a lie. That is a massive lie because my one of my favorite action movies of all time is fucking Mad Max Fury Road. I thought that movie was phenomenal.
I am ashamed to admit that I haven't seen it.
You should definitely give that a watch.
I will.
But there's just such I don't know, there's such a difference between oh hey look I'm gonna place a bunch of people in front of a fucking blue screen and let basically my animators do the rest of the work and Mad Max where the director knows what he's doing, he knows how to shoot action, he's out there doing a lot of it practically because he actually knows how to direct action, which is such a weird thing for James Cameron to do because he's proven that he's good at it with Terminator 2 and Aliens, and he seems to just resort to give I'm James Cameron, give me all this money, and then I'll show you the best special effects that money can buy.
So would you say
Don't you think it
you
might be
prefer
cheaper
movies
actually
with
though
practical
to
effects
do a
than
lot on green
visual?
screen?
Digital is actually cheaper, yeah, because you can shoot
Yeah.
most of it in a studio
So there you go.
and just
Why
blue
wouldn't you
screen it
do it then? Because then you
because
can
it's
make your budget go
lazy.
further. Okay, but it goes back. There we go. Theme of the episode right there. Money controls
Money
everything.
controls everything.
Okay.
There you go.
So
You don't have
Ryan,
if you
Yeah.
digitalize everything, you don't have to have stunt doubles and all this other shit. You don't have to pay people as many
well,
work
that's the thing too. They
hours.
can they can because actors arguably cost them like this up. It's one of the highest expensive when it comes to moving because big name actors they cost a shit ton. RDJ
Absolutely.
for Marvel Universe, he's the most expensive actor they got. Holy fuck. The less time they can have
No, he
those
doesn't.
actors on set doing lines and the more they can do post filming, the more money they save. So that's why I think so many movies do these as many visual digital
Hmm.
post production
Yeah,
effects they
but
can.
if at my point, I guess my point really is that if your script can't hold up, your visuals, I guess for some people it can carry the movie,
Carried the
but
shit out of Avatar.
for people like me, it doesn't because I'm like, wow, this looks pretty, but the fucking movie makes no sense. And it's kind of irritating how little sense it makes. Like, one thing that irritates me the most is characters doing shit that is just retarded. Like, when you're sitting there watching it, like, people are so. A lot of movies nowadays, and it's like the script writing is because of the technical aspects, I feel it's just so lazy. People know that the masses will go and watch pretty pictures over writing. So like, oh, we'll just cobble together some bullshit script and fucking make it look pretty, and there you go. There's your movie. But I don't understand how people can watch that, even though despite how pretty it is, and not see how just completely stupid these characters are. It's like it makes me have a headache when I see people doing like fuck. Ready Player One is like the best example of the movie looked great, but holy crap was the script turbo crap. Like, oh, I don't remember a lot of Avatar and Alita because I was so horrendously bored through it, but I was kind of forced to sit through Ready Player One, so I remember a lot of the shit that happened in that movie. And it's a lot of the shit that happened in that movie is quite hilarious, I think.
I don't know, man. Avatar turned 237 million into 2.79 billion. So
Which pisses me the fuck off as a young filmmaker. Because what the fuck am I doing with my life? Why am I trying so hard on
don't know.
every aspect of my film? It's
should-
like
you should learn how
reality
to- You
TV.
should learn how to CGI, man. That's what you need to do.
Reality TV makes me the most angry because I'm sitting here busting
Reality
my
TV
ass trying to make a
genuinely
short
is
film, and you
trash,
got
though.
some fucking hack just making bank off of brain dead fucking people watching TV.
I
Well, love to
genuinely
watch it.
despise reality
You gotta
TV
follow
because it's
those
just so
trends, man.
dumb and basic.
Gotta follow those trends. You're gonna be a filmmaker. You gotta follow those trends.
So here's a question for
Until
you then,
until you
Ryan.
have that audience to where your independence
Yeah.
can carry you.
What to you makes a good script? Putting visuals and effects and everything beside, what makes a good script? Good characters, good plot.
What makes a good script, good plot, good characters? Well, first of all, you just have to have, an interesting kind of scenario. And to me, characters, they don't have to be, I get that in on film, like you have to dramatize shit to make it more interesting. But you have to write characters as characters. Like a lot of the time when you're watching these movies with these dumb characters, it's because in the writing process, what they do is they don't say, "Hey, here's my character. This is what he stands for. This is who he is." And they write and they say, "Oh, he'll make, he makes this decision, he makes that decision." They say, "Okay, we have a plot. This is what needs to happen. A, B, and C needs to happen. So what we're going to do is to get the plot from A to B, this needs to happen. Oh, but what's the easiest way to make that happen? Oh, the character can just do this." And most of the time it's something that nobody would ever fucking do ever.
Right,
It's
right.
just a writing process. Like you did frick that short story writing or whatever in high school,
Yeah, I
right?
did creative writing there.
It's yeah, creative writing. It's the same thing as doing that. You just have to have a really tightly knit, well written story. It's the same writing a script
So
than
you're
it is
saying you don't
writing
like
a
simple?
really nice. No, simple can be good, but you have to do simple right. Like look at Blair Witch Project. Fucking simple ass movie. But they put so much effort into the filmmaking and making these characters seem so real that that's what sold the movie.
Hmm.
It's such a tough thing to really talk about because there's so much that goes into a film, and it just kind of the biggest thing for me is people saying like, "Oh, you don't, this doesn't matter, it's just a movie, and this doesn't matter," because it devalues a lot of the filmmakers out there that try to make everything matter in their film as it should be, in my opinion.
See, having because since you brought up the creative writing class I was in, I know like when you have an idea, you've got point A. This is where the characters start. We see the characters are introduced, etc. And you need to try to get all the way to Z or Z if you're Canadian, but you don't really know how to get you don't know how to fit all the letters in between. And like
Right.
I had that struggle a lot because I came up with this really good story, at least in my opinion. I'm probably biased, but
That's
uh,
okay.
guy, he's fed up with the city life, moves to a quiet country town, and finds that it's not so quiet, and people are kind of all chaotic and shit. And he gets into a scrap with, Mister All Big, threatening, no one touches him just because he's such a big asshole type guy. And like, I had a really funny idea for resolution where he gets kicked out of Canada because he denounces poutine. But it was a fun idea, but I couldn't for the life of me get to that end point. I couldn't get all that filler stuff in between. I kind
And
of I was able to get some of it,
it's
but
tough.
like it was really tough, and I still haven't even finished that story. It's just
Yeah,
I
and
eventually just gave
I
up on it.
absolutely agree. Like I'm learning how to script write and it is hard. I have to have a script done so that I can shoot it for my final project for graduation. And I have been over this script probably about 6 times and I'm not even close to being done. It just you have to put the work in and keep refining it and refining it and refining it for everything to make sense. It's just lazy script writing. That's all it is.
Yeah,
You have to take the time because when you're watching a movie like fucking, Ready Player One and the character gets kidnapped and put in a cell while in VR for some reason, which is a whole other thing that doesn't make sense, but whatever. She's in VR, and I'm going to ask you guys a question here. So, if let's say that you get blindfolded and you get thrown into a room, you don't know what it is, you don't know if it's a cell, you don't know if it's just a room with a door. You get blindfolded, you can't see shit, you're in a room that you presume is locked. Whoever threw you in there leaves. What is the first thing, your gut reaction? You're not tied down, your hands are free.
Take the
What is your gut
blindfold off.
reaction to do?
I try and take the blindfold off.
Yeah.
Try and take the blindfold off, right? And then let's say that you the blindfold is somehow fucking stuck to your face and you can't get it off. Then what do you do?
Kill myself.
Okay, Gandhi would
um,
Uh,
just commit suicide.
mhm. Yep. Yeah. No. 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 It's legit. If you're ever kidnapped or something, fight till you die. Because if you get kidnapped and dude, it's gonna be way better if you're just dead than whatever the fuck's
Okay.
gonna happen if you're kidnapped.
All right,
So
Devin. What is your answer? What would you do?
so I can't get the blindfold off.
You can't get the blindfold off. It's stuck there, but you are 100% free. You can walk around this room. Your hands are free. You can feel shit.
So I would probably try and use my sense of touch to try and get a feel for my surroundings if I could.
Exactly. And
yeah,
I'm
for sure.
I'm the same
If
way.
I could find something to assist in taking off the blindfold, like if there's a way to cut it off, I might try and go for that. Or if there's a
Right.
way out of the space I'm in, then I'd try and do that.
Right. Yeah, I do the same thing. If I couldn't see and I was put in a room completely free of my hands and feet, my instant reaction is I'm going to feel around the ceiling, I'm going to feel around the floor, I'm going to feel around the walls. I'm going to see if I can find fucking anything, like a door handle that I can even try to open, anything. In This is like the perfect example of lazy script writing. In Ready Player One, she gets kidnapped. She's in VR, so her buddies can still talk to her. And the main character says, "Feel above your head." She feels above her head. There's like a hatch. He's like, "Pull it." She pulls a lever that unlocks the cell that she's in from the inside.
What?
The So the script needed her to get kidnapped, but then they needed her to also escape. So instead of thinking of, okay, so this is this, how would this character react in this situation? What would, the main characters be able to do to get her out of this situation? They just say, fuck it. Just have them tell her that there's a lever above her head inside the cell for some reason. That, if she did what a normal human would do, she would have felt around and probably found it herself within
Yeah.
about 5 minutes of being in that cell.
So I get what you're saying. I do. However, I'm also the type of movie watcher where I don't need 3 minutes of her feeling around cell walls. Give me the resolution. Oh, there's a hatch above her. Boom. There we go. 30 seconds. We're done. It's over with. She's out of the cell. Like, for me as a movie watcher, that's what I want. And so I get what you're saying is, oh, well, it's lazy. Yes, it is, because that's not how the actual human would react in that situation. But we're watching a movie and we're trying to just get to those resolutions where the conflict is
I
here. We're building that up. We climax and then we resolve the situation.
And
So
that's where I also agree with you, is I wouldn't want to see her around a dark room feeling around for, shit for 5 minutes. But then as a scriptwriter, you say, well, none of this makes any fucking sense. Let's do something else.
but
Right,
Like,
yeah.
but the casual audience watching the movie is not thinking about those details.
and that's what I don't understand. I don't understand how you can watch that unfold and not full out belly laugh at how retarded that whole scene was.
Well, it's a suspension of disbelief, right? Like even just our live performances in theater, when the audience comes in, they pay for a show, they kind of they separate themselves from um, the fact that we're just a bunch of actors on stage, and they invest themselves into the story and what's going on, and they take on, those little details and stuff from the actual story, the actual performance. And that's the exact same thing with movies and stuff. It's when an audience comes in to a movie theater or on their TV at home or whatever, they kind of once they hit play, they kind of disconnect themselves from reality and just enjoy the movie for what it is, good or bad.
Right. But yeah, and I'm not trying to like shit on anybody. Like if you like that stuff, go ahead. You don't have to have the same taste as me. But the only thing that I guess I'm trying to say is that I don't like when people devalue the filmmakers who try to have a lot more, stuff and a lot more effort put into their scripts.
I
Like you
don't
can say,
think
yeah, I like this kind of stuff and I just want to sit down and be entertained. Fair enough, fair enough. But it annoys me when people start saying like, "Oh, well, that shit doesn't matter and this doesn't matter." And it's like, "Well, now you're just devaluing the people who try harder."
Hmm.
I wouldn't devalue the filmmaker in what you're saying of trying to
Right.
create these complexities within the film and all that.
Right.
However, I think it's important from the filmmaker's perspective to understand that if you don't have an audience watching the film, then the film isn't going to be successful on a grand scale. You as the
Right.
filmmaker might think the film is a success, the film's fantastic, it's perfect in your eyes, yada yada yada. But back to that original theme, if it's not making any money, if you don't have an audience that's paying for it, if you don't have an audience that's getting the views, that's watching it online, getting the downloads, you know it all these complexities, all your extra time spent into the script, you know you have to then choose or figure out within yourself, you know, why are you taking all that extra time? Why are you making sure that, that actual true uh human thought process when being trapped in the cage is actually written
Right.
out on
And that's why,
film.
yeah, a lot of the movies like that are more independent. Like, do you
Hmm.
guys know about the movie Midsummer that just came out not that long ago?
No, like I said, I'm not a movie person.
Not a movie guy. But
No.
Devin, Midsummer.
Um, the name slightly rings a bell. I might have seen a trailer
What
for it. That's about
about
it.
Hereditary? Do you guys know about that one? Hereditary came out last year? No.
Not
Okay,
yeah,
that's
Native.
fine.
definitely not an indie movie guy.
That's fine. But basically, like two horror movies funded by a more of an indie producer, by this guy that you know, and his movies they're not perfect, but they're a lot more experimental. I guess
Hmm.
you could say they're a lot more weird. I guess to your average movie goer, they would watch it and
Right.
say, that was a weird movie." And he, same thing. His budget was 9 million. I have the Wikipedia thing up, and he got 36 million box office, which isn't a lot compared to your avatars and stuff like
Hmm.
that. But he still made some money off of it,
Hmm.
and so did the studio. So there is an audience for it and
Yeah, it's
whatnot. And
just
I
not a
do get it. You
grand
can't.
audience.
It's just
I
not a
mean, how much
grand
how much
audience.
how much money did the last Friday the 13th movie generate?
That's a good question. Friday the 13th. 2000. No.
Hmm?
Damn. What year did the last one come out here?
2012, 2011, maybe 2009,
2012.
maybe.
Budget and gross. Yeah. So about 2009. Budget was 19
Yeah.
mil. They pulled in about 92 mil.
Okay. And that's a movie where the fucking, the killer walks everywhere yet catches up with teenagers running.
Exactly.
Like it doesn't make sense. It doesn't at all.
It doesn't.
But
But
they
there's. Yeah, oh, sorry. Go ahead.
but they know their audience, and the audience doesn't care how the attack gets there. They just want to see the attack.
Right.
Like,
And the and my kind of argument is movies like I'm a big horror movie guy, and I love the original Halloween, the
mhm,
original Halloween.
yeah,
And I think that movie
Jamie Lee
plays.
Curtis.
Yeah, I think that
Oh,
movie plays on a lot of it's a great slasher movie, but I also think that it's a great movie for like the horror genre and what it
mhm,
does. Whereas, the new Halloween or the new Friday the 13th,
mhm,
I don't think is. I think you can still make, a horror movie for the fans and that people will love and, they just want to see some people get hacked up. But you can still put more effort in. But I do get it, right? Because again, money. If I don't need to put in that extra effort, then why
right.
bother?
Mhm. I mean,
That's
I
another
think
unfortunate thing is like going back to the disconnect from audience's reality and what they're seeing on screen is like if as a director or screenwriter or even an actor you put in all this extreme amount of effort to make something that you really want to see succeed, all these small details that, someone with a keen eye would appreciate, 95% of the audience isn't going to see those details. They're not going to appreciate the extra thought that you as a director or a screenwriter put into the film. Like
Right.
you take any of Edgar Wright's films, tons of little
Love that man.
details, tons. He's best. I'll say it right now, best director out there, I think. Fucking love Baby Driver, love Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, all of his films, really good. There's so many. Every time I rewatch it, I find something little new detail I never noticed before. 90% of the people who watch those movies, though, never notice these things. They'll never see it. They'll watch
Right.
it one and be like, that movie's alright, and they'll forget
And
about it.
Edgar Wright is still a household director name. Like he's not a niche. People go out and see Baby Driver. People fucking watch Hot Fuzz, Shaun of the Dead, World's End. Like
Hmm.
those movies make money, and he tries.
Yeah,
He puts in the effort. And I think and it's kind of finding the balance, I think, if you don't want to go full indie, it's finding the balance of, hey, regular audiences, can watch this, but I'm still going to put the effort and not just cop out. You can
right.
still make a movie that appeases, more film buffy people like myself, but that also appease, the average. I just want to go and be entertained for an hour.
like Endgame.
I'm not a big Marvel guy, but I
I'm not
understand the
either.
appeal of
I'm not
Marvel.
either. I'm not either. I've never seen a single one of them. But I know that there was a lot of intricacies that weren't resolved until Endgame that like date all the way back to the first Iron Man movie. That build up in their story and that entire universe that Marvel created is fantastic. However, I also heard from a lot of people that me, somebody who's never seen a single one fucking superhero movie, could watch Endgame and just be like amazed by it because there was so much action. The colors are pretty, shit's moving fast, and I could, if I wanted to, essentially throw the fucking story out the window and just be like, oh yeah, a couple one-liner jokes. Here's what happened. I'll get enough resolution at the end of like, you know, here's what happened at the beginning, some shit happened in the middle, you know, the world didn't blow up at the end, or maybe it did. I have no fucking idea. But I was entertained the whole time because there was a lot of fucking fight scenes and explosions and all sorts of shit to where, you know, I it might be possible for me to be able to sit down and watch 2 hours and fucking or 3 hours and 15 minutes of a movie.
Right. And it's yeah, and again, it's all what you want out of
Personal
your
taste for
movies.
sure.
Yeah.
It's,
It's
yeah.
all what you want out of your movies for sure. And
all media content's like that. I mean,
yeah, exactly. And like I always say, I think the most said thing that I say is I said that really autistically, don't mind me, but I think the thing that I say the most, there we go, when people ask, oh, what do you think of this artist? I usually say, oh, I don't really like their music. They're just not for me, but I don't think that they're a bad artist.
right.
Like I don't listen like there are a couple people that I listen to and I'm like, wow, they're horrible. But about 97% of the time when I listen to someone I haven't listened to before and I don't like their music, I don't instantly think, "Oh, they're trash. They're not a good artist." I just think, "Oh, well, that's not really for me."
Right.
Because it doesn't mean that they're inherently a bad artist. It just means that their music isn't my taste. So, there you go.
Wow.
Yeah.
Kind of
It's
the
very
same with movies. Like there are some movies that I think are just really, really piss poor, like Ready Player One. But Marvel, for example, I'm really not a Marvel fan, but I understand the appeal. And it's like, yeah, Marvel's they're pretty well made films, and they, people like them. So there you go.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna watch them, but
No,
that
no,
doesn't matter.
I won't.
Well, I think it's a solid note to wrap up on as we cross over the 2 hour mark.
Yeah, for sure.
That I'll be honest, that went on longer than I thought it would.
I can
Yeah.
talk for forever.
This is true.
I got
That's
a
how it
fucking
always
mouth on
happens.
me. I don't shut up.
A fucking mouth on me. I think everybody has a mouth on, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Right, went from climate change to video games to politics to movies. That was quite the quite the conversation. Much appreciated as
Excellent point.
always. Gandhi coming in to co-host, be my crutch when I don't know what to say. Special thanks
Yin to your
to
yang.
Into your
yeah,
yang.
God, I haven't heard that in
To
years.
your pod.
Um, Thanks to Ryan and Payton for coming out, chilling, hanging out with us.
Thank you.
I think Payton's just fucked off.
She's
I would
back to
think
say bye.
Oh, hi Payton.
She's back to say bye.
I had to make supper, man.
Oh, where's mine?
I can ship it, but it might be, full of bacteria. But
Oh, it's the
just
best
wait.
part.
Okay,
Bacteria.
Wait for
give
it.
me your
Bad.
address after.
um, Thanks again, you two, for popping by, hanging out for a couple hours.
No,
Yes,
thank
thank
you.
you for letting me say a few sentences and
And thanks for letting me jabber on
talk the
for
whole time.
yeah.
Like usual.
Honestly, Ryan, you could hold the podcast all on your own entirely.
I'm
The rest of us
schizophrenic.
don't need
I'll
to be here.
easy.
All right, we'll wrap it up there. Thanks again for coming out. Thanks for listening. If you did, you can follow the various socials. It'll be linked in the description down below. Share with your friends so I can feel like I have a purpose in life. And until next time, be great, enjoy some movies, and vote on the next Prime Minister. Peace.
Thanks, Evan.